Hi, friends. It's good to be with you on Wednesday in the middle of the week. We still have some sunshine out there. So that weatherman who kept talking about raging storms and bad cold weather was only partially right, I think. But I've been reading and studying this passage from First Peter, and I'm going to read it. So this, hi Dawn, good to see you, my friend. I am going to be through all this stuff with my allergies. I'm going to be reading from First Peter. One of our readings. Excuse me. Hi, Mark. I have allergies. Allergies are attacking. Um, our second reading for this upcoming Sunday comes from First Peter, and as I was looking at that second reading that someone will be reading for our church, I started really looking at the book of First Peter, and I decided to start with verse 1 of chapter 1. And so that is what I'm going to be reading for you today. So the reading comes from First Peter, verses 1 through, where am I taking it? Through 9. And this is out of the Message Bible again. I, Peter, am an apostle on assignment by Jesus, the Messiah, writing to exiles scattered to the four winds. Not one is missing, not one forgotten. God the Father has his eye on each of you and has determined by the work of the Spirit to keep you obedient through the sacrifice of Jesus. May everything good from God be yours. Rest in that for a minute. What a God we have, Peter continues, and how fortunate we are to have him, this Father of our Master Jesus, because Jesus was raised from the dead. We've been given a brand new life and have everything to live for, including a future in heaven. And the future starts now. God is keeping careful watch over us and the future. The day is coming when you'll have it all, life healed and whole. I know how great this makes you feel, even though you have to put up with every kind of aggravation in the meantime. Pure gold puts in the fire and comes out of it proved pure. Genuine faith put through this suffering comes out proved genuine. When Jesus wraps this all up, it's your faith, not your gold, that God will have on display as evidence of his victory. You never saw him, yet you loved him. You still don't see him, yet you trust him with laughter and singing. Because you kept on believing, you'll get what you're looking forward to, total salvation. So I was reading on this letter of Peter's and how he really spoke strongly to the converted Jews to following Christ. But he was also speaking here to Gentile Christians. So Peter is writing to both Gentile and the Jewish Christians, and really they were dispersed. He was talking about them being scattered. And so we can look at people of God throughout the ages, especially the ancient Israelites, being forced to exile their comfortable places, their what they considered home, what they considered their way of life. I think this is most important for us at this time to remember that throughout time, God's people have been dispersed, sometimes and most always not of their own doing, right? So we're being dispersed in opposite, I feel. Hi, Leanne. We're being dispersed, not like those early exiled people, but we're being, I don't know what we're being forced to be in our homes, not dispersed outward, but inward. We're still, in a way, exiled. We're exiled from the familiar. We're exiled from our friends. We're exiled from our way of life in so many ways. Sure, many of you are home, but also some of you are also doing essential work out in the community. And I thank you for that. But we're all, as believers in Christ, exiled in some way, aren't we? You know, first and foremost, we think of this COVID-19 and we think of ourselves as being dispersed from our way of life, like I had said. But also, Even without COVID-19, we as believers are dispersed from the world that does not understand a God through the life and the salvation of Jesus Christ. It's just our reality that many will mock us, many will not believe us, many will not hold to the values we hold to, because they are not living the same life we are. And because of that, we can feel that we are dispersed in this world, this human world we live in, that does not understand us. And because of that, we may feel persecuted. And so this is what Peter is talking to. He is talking to these dispersed people who are truly have been dispersed and are being dispersed because they are persecuted by Rome, especially. And so they they are outside of their homelands for the most part in the Roman world, and basically trying to keep the faith, and not only keep the faith, but to spread it by proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. And Peter gives them a lot of credit. You're doing this. First of all, you're outside of your element, and you're still choosing to trust in this risen Christ. And not only that, you're spreading the good news. And that is not always easy. So Peter is giving them encouraging words to say, the day is coming when you'll have it all. Meaning you don't have it all right now. You know, I am sensing such frustration with people I know, within my own family and friends, myself sometimes, that this safe distancing is getting old, right? It's not easy. But I believe, and I'm just going to say this, if we're not sick and if we're pretty healthy and we're still feeling frustrated, I believe we've had it easy, my friends. We have not lived in religious persecution like what Peter is describing here, or what we hear out in the world today, in third world countries and other countries where, you know, they live under authoritarian rule, and they have no choice but to hide. So we are uncomfortable. I would like to say we are uncomfortable versus persecuted right now. But still, in these times of uncomfort, or in the times where we are really going through tough times, when we are sick or we have lost somebody we love dearly, that we are to remember that the day is coming when we'll have it all. So this is a word of hope. And listen, we live in this human world, so that it will never be perfect. It will never go our way, and we will always be misunderstood, especially as Christians. So he's already talking to people of faith, both Jew and Gentile, and he says, I know how great this makes you feel, even though you have to put up with every kind of aggravation in the meantime. And then he talks about pure gold that is put into the fire to become refined. And then how beautiful it looks, but how more beautiful and how more genuine we are, more pure than pure gold, are we that are refined through times of suffering. Hi, Jerry. Good to see you. So in 1 Peter verses 1 through 9, he's talking to a dispersed group of people, the Jewish and Gentile believers of Jesus, who have been dispersed throughout the Roman Empire because they cannot be comfortable in their homeland anymore, in the way of life they grew up perhaps to be in. And so this is a time of suffering for them. And so when he's talking about this gold being refined in the fire, and how genuinely pure it becomes, how great it is, he says we are better than even gold that's being refined. We in the faith who are being refined in the fires, meaning we who are, our faith is being refined through the struggles we are in that we're experiencing at this time, is much more better, much more beautiful, much more genuine than gold itself. And to God, how much more valuable are you being refined through your suffering? And isn't that the beauty of the cross? God coming to us in the person of Jesus, God enduring the sufferings that humankind puts on the person of Jesus, and how refined that love was by making salvation ours for all time, for all those who believe. God understands that sometimes the best way to become the best version of ourselves as we were created to be is through suffering. That doesn't mean God says, oh, goody, they're uncomfortable. Oh, goody, they're suffering. No, because we have a compassionate God. But listen, my friends, I know when I'm going through tough times, I finally get it. I get it better because others are suffering and I can understand what it means to suffer. I'm beginning to understand the suffering of others, and I can appreciate more our suffering Christ. So as we're living this time of the resurrection, as resurrected people in this season of Easter, can we take heart and know that salvation is ours down the road? But we are also experiencing salvation as we are becoming refined in this time. As we're becoming refined, we're becoming more genuine. And as our faith becomes more genuine, we are coming to understand more and more the joy that is ours now, even in the midst of tough times, even in the midst of being comfortable masks in public, which I did yesterday. So as we start to wallow in this frustration that this is not what we want life to be about, think of those early believers being dispersed from their comfortable places and still being able to recognize that God is calling them to be refined. And in this calling of theirs, they are spreading the good news in a joyful way with hope. Let that be our strength this day. That Peter, who will soon himself know death on the cross, but not the way Jesus died. He will know suffering, but his word is that comes from our risen Christ, that the suffering is just for a little while. So we go on with hope, and we see the salvation that is already ours now, the joy we can see in the beauty in the world around us, and we can take our hope from that as we go out and spread the good news. It's going to be a busy day for me. I don't know about you guys. I hope you have a good day today. I hope you not only is it busy and full of purpose, but it's one that brings you joy, where you can take a moment to look outside of yourself and see some of the signs of life, of resurrected life, that God is showing you this day. It's so good to begin this day. I slept in, so this is kind of the beginning of my day, not going to lie. I've been keeping some evening hours, and I need to turn that around, but it's hard when you live in this safe distancing life of ours. But in the meantime, First Peter, if you get a chance to read some of that, we'll be reading later on in that first chapter. I believe, who is reading for us in First Peter? I believe it's Mark from our congregation, Mark Arend, and he's going to be reading that for us in church on Sunday. But let us take a lesson from those early apostles who understood what it meant to live in this world in which we often do not fit in. But that's okay. That's okay, because we already belong to a great family of faith. And the head of it, at that table that we dine at and that we are in relationship with is Jesus Christ. So have a good Wednesday, my friends. I'm going to stop talking and actually get busy doing some things now. But grounded in the word, grounded in this lovely scripture, I too have found strength I need for this day.